The Marcus Deegan Show. What's the story, guys? Welcome to another quick clips episode of the Marcus Deegan Show podcast. I'm your host. You know who I am, the Aussie from Vegas, the place of bright lights and world title fights. Got another badass on the show today. You know what? I speak to so many badasses that I know that one day when we're out having a few beers, I'm going to be able to look over and go, see that guy over there? I interviewed him. Get him over here to come and have a beer with us. I hope so anyway. I get to speak to all these great fighters from a bunch of different organizations, and today we've got another athlete on the show. He's an American mixed martial artist. He was fighting in the lightweight division in his mixed martial arts career. In about 2010 when he went pro, he had a pretty good career, a lot of fights. Fought in some of the biggest mixed martial arts promotions in the world, UFC, Bellator, the list goes on and on. And he's transferred over to one of the toughest sports, one of the newest and most exciting sports that's hit the world stream, and everyone's talking about it, the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the podcast, Jake Lindsey. What's the story, brother?
What's going on, my man? I love that intro. Smooth talking.
Do you like that one? I'm sitting here in Vegas, and we just got a wind warning on the phone, so it's blowing a gale out there. You can hear me okay?
Yeah. We have the same problem here. I'm over in Kansas, and of course it's flat. There's no trees, and it's like a tornado every day over here.
You look fresh, brother.
Thank you. I know. No marks, huh?
How does that happen? How does that happen? Is your face just conditioned to being pounded, or are you just that slick with the head movement?
You got to be slick with it, man. They call me the gypsy for a reason, man. I'm slick with it.
Now, listen, how you feeling after the weekend?
I feel real good, man. It was a good fight. My hands hurt. My hands super swollen. I can't tie my shoes, but I feel fantastic. If my hands were healed or if they were uninjured, I could go again next weekend.
It's funny, a lot of the bare knuckle fighters that I speak to, the first thing they always say is how much the hands hurt. How do you condition your hands for something like that?
To be honest, I don't really think you can. I do a lot of bag work, bare knuckle. I do pretty much all my bag work, bare knuckle. I do some pad work, bare knuckle too, but I guess it all really depends on how big your opponent's head is. The last guy I fought, he had a big ass head. So, I don't think, when your knuckle hits skull, I don't think anyone's knuckle's conditioned for that. My first bare knuckle fight, though, I had no injuries except for I tore a fingernail. Other than that, my hands were fine. But this fight, I got the tee off on the guy a little bit more, so they're pretty swollen.
So, two great back-to-back stoppages. The feeling that you've got although this isn't new to you, but this is new to you, this sport, what's the difference between you first started here in the bare knuckle to when, for instance, when you first started with the UFC? Obviously, there's been a lot of maturity. There's been a lot of growth since then. Obviously, it's in two different sports, but what are your feelings now as a martial artist compared to back then, getting into the UFC and into the bare knuckle?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the mental. Bare knuckle's a whole new event. It's exciting. It's a new sport. It suits me well naturally. I've done a little bit of underground bare knuckle stuff back in the day, but it feels like a fresh of breath air. It's exciting. It's where I belong right now. And mentally, I'm in a whole nother. It takes years and years to develop that mental strength and clarity of mind in combat sports. That's why wrestlers do so well typically in MMA, because they've already done, from sixth grade to high school, they've had all that mental training. I started MMA I had no combat sports experience before that, so it took me a long time for my the mental part to catch up to my physical talent. But now it's kind of like aligned perfectly. And bare knuckles where I'm at, and it feels good. And I'm just excited to keep fighting.
It's funny that you say that it took your mental a little bit longer to catch up to your physical ability. Obviously, and everyone that I speak to says this, and I'm sure you're not going to be any different, but the mental part of it kind of has to stand out a little bit, wouldn't you say, Jake? Hasn't that got to be the front runner of what you do in this kind of combat sports world?
100%. What makes the best fighters on the planet, it's the guys who can be the most comfortable and relaxed in the ring or cage like they are in the gym. You hear so many stories about guys in the gym being super talented and they're beating up all these world-class guys, but then they get in a cage and they just can't pull the trigger. And it's all mental, you know. And it's, for me, it was unique because I was undefeated for so long. I was flying through guys.
Yeah.
And then I took my first defeat on a short notice fight for the UFC, and I lost for the first time. And that set me back years, because, you know, another thing you need to do is learn how to lose,
Right.
and not let one loss ruin your whole day. So it's kind of cliche. People say fighting, you know, 90% mental. Well, it's 100% correct. You know, it might even be more, because, you know, I have a close buddy of mine, and he told me one time, he said, you know, I've beaten some guys I never should have beat, and I've lost to guys I've never should have lost to, but it's just all mental. So, you know, the best guys on the planet, I don't think, are always the best guys on the planet. It's the guys who have their head on straight fight night, the guys who can get in there, be the most relaxed and coast, and be just like they are in training in the cage. I think those are the best guys on the planet.
Do you think, due to the fact that you've had, you know, over 25 mixed martial arts fights, you've been in the game and you've been pro for like 12, 13 years now, does that help you with that whole relaxed state that you're talking about? You jumping into the circle, the squared circle, or pardon me, and you're going in. It's a pretty brutal sport from what it looks like to us. Having all that experience with your past, that helps you with what you're doing right now. Would you say that's right?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely correct. And if you watch me, contrary to most guys in bare knuckle, I am really, really relaxed. And a lot of times it throws my opponents off. You know, in the first round of my last fight, I could see it on his face in the ring. Like, I'd stick him with a hard jab, and I'd kind of bounce back and kind of take a little light, deep breath and kind of keep moseying towards him. And it was throwing him off that I was so relaxed. He couldn't read what I was going to do. And that is, yeah, I've been training for, I've been pro for 12, 13 years, but you talk about the amateur career, and I've been all the way to the top at the UFC. I've been all the way at the bottom and everything in between. And, you know, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I tell
Love that.
all the guys I train at my gym, I know some really talented, I know 2 female fighters, one's my girlfriend, super talented, but they're so hard themselves. They lose one fight, they're like, oh, I suck. It's, you know, it's a long race, this combat sports game, and it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And I feel like last 2-3 years, I've finally been able to kind of put it all together and just relax and be myself. You know, fighting is a form of self-expression. So if you think of it that way, everyone has anxiety issues or nerves issues and all that stuff. And it's just that stuff will come out on the ring. But once you finally get to that point where you're mentally on point and you relax and you just be yourself, that's when you start performing the best.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, great words of wisdom there, and it's great for people to listen to and take something out of that. And just speaking of the UFC for a moment, do you still watch it at all?
Yeah. I like watching fights. Not as much anymore. I used to be like, you know how like the guys who really like football, they get all pissed off and emotionally invested in football. That used to be me with all my favorite fighters, man. Like, if my favorite fighter lost, my whole night would be ruined. But once I started really fighting and training, and after years and years of that, and every weekend going out to watch fights, I don't watch them as much anymore. I'm still a huge MMA fan. I watched the fights last weekend, but to be honest with you, I got 2 kids now. You know what I mean? My mind's elsewhere. But what I do like to enjoy, what I really enjoy watching combat sports wise, is a bunch of guys I don't know.
Right.
I love it. I love turning on the TV. Oh, I don't know these guys, and just experiencing those guys without any anticipation of who's going to win, who should win, just enjoying a good scrap. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
So daddy duties are kind of taking over these days, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I love being a dad all day. There's a quote I just read. It says, a man's never as strong as when he's on his knees helping a child. I think that's true. And my kids, they're high energy, high demand kids. So like, I went and fought last weekend, went out, drove home the next day, got the kids, and it's just, you know, nonstop. But it's something I enjoy. For me, and this is a big problem in my fighting career, you know, I need other things other than fighting. You know,
Right.
when you're younger, it's, you know, this is my life. You hear guys say it all the time. This is
Yeah.
a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not everything. So for me, it's healthy for me to have other things. And there's nothing I love more than being a dad. I think it's one of the most important things. in our society. I think it's lacking kind of right now, but being a leader and a mentor to my children, it makes my drive and my push for fighting a lot higher. So
Now, are they young kids, Jake? Are they small kiddies, or are they like, how old are they?
6 and 7.
Oh,
So I mean, they're getting up there, but they're still, you know what I mean. That's still an age where they they're still kids. And my youngest June, she's a little monster. She likes to play. We play daddy games where like she punches me in the face, and I'm like she likes to be rough and tumble. So she'll come up and say, "Bap," and she'll smack me across the face. I say, "Hold on, that's remember though, that's a daddy game. You only play that with me. You don't play with the kids at school." So no, they're growing up quick, man. Not to be long-winded is crazy. They're like kids are like chickens. They start out like a little baby and all cute, and it seems like overnight they're doubling in size. You know what I mean?
would you say that's one of your greatest achievements as being a dad?
Yes, absolutely. Now I'm not. I'm always striving to be a better man and a better father, and I haven't gotten to the point I want to be at. But yeah, absolutely. Embracing the role as a father and a caregiver is something that, right off the bat, I didn't get right, to be honest with you. But once I got it down, yeah, of course, it's something that it's almost immeasurable, the amount of impact you can have on kids and people in your life by being a good man and a good father. I think about, not to get all serious and long-winded, but that effect that you put down on kids, it's almost a superpower because you raise a kid,
Oh,
right? You should
100%.
they're
Yeah.
going to go out and that spreads. I remember there's a couple guys growing up that really had a good positive impact on me. And if they weren't around, who knows? I could be in jail right now. I could be dead, to be honest with you. But,
Yeah.
I think it is one of the biggest achievements I've ever done for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking when you hear about these dads that want nothing to do with their kids, and then you see their
Oh,
kid and you think, how do you not, like, I'm obsessed with my nieces and nephews. I'm not fortunate enough to be a dad yet, but it's just unfathomable to me.
makes me want to head kick them. Well, actually, not head kick them anymore. I don't head kick anymore. I want to yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when are you getting back in there again, Jake? That's what everybody wants to know. Look, you look fresh. You said you got a bit of a sore hand, though.
I'm slick with it, baby. I'm
Mm.
ready. I was looking for some leeches because it's all swollen up with blood, and I was gonna get some leeches to like get some of the swelling out. I guess it helps with the healing process. But honestly, if it heals up within the next month, I'm ready to go. Like my weight's gonna be good. I'm back in the gym tomorrow. I used to do that thing where you would go fight and then you become a total derelict fat slob for 3 months and don't do anything.
Yeah.
But I stay in shape now, and I'm in good shape. So as soon as possible, man, I think I'm one fight away from a title shot. And I think, and this isn't me tooting my own horn, there's some guys in the division, the 165 welterweight division, that are tough fights, and they're going to be tough fights for everybody. But some of those guys, I feel like I just walk through. Like,
Really?
clearly not walk through them, but I think my style, there's a lot of brawlers in my weight class, and my style is counter to that. I'm more defensive based. I move real well, really good feint. So I'd like to get back in there. Plus, I like making money. That's my second favorite thing to do. So
Yeah, absolutely.
next 2 months, man, I want to go to England. They just announced that England card.
Yep, I heard that. I heard that as well. Yeah.
Let's
They're,
go.
they're taking it international, man. I'm really surprised at how much the sport's growing and how much traffic it's getting, and how many people from the UFC are jumping over to your organization. It's just great to see, and look, we all love our combat sports, but when a new one comes around, like you guys, it's just great. We just love it, and I'm just glad that you're doing so well. You're making a mark for yourself already. You come 2 back-to-back stoppages. Your experience and what you've learned over the years is only going to put a positive impact on what you're doing. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you get that title shot, and not only that, but also seeing you continue in the sport.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm ready to roll.
Well,
Let's
thank you
line
very
them
much.
up, baby.
Thanks very much for popping in, man. We do these little quick clips, and I've just started talking to a bunch of people from the Bare Knuckle. I spoke to Christine Ferreira, I spoke to Artem Lobov, and now I've had the opportunity to speak to you. So I want to say thank you very much for popping in for a quick chat, my brother.
Hey, I appreciate you.
We'll talk soon. I love it. And especially with the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, I've always been a big fan of it. And I've interviewed a couple of people on there before. But I really want to get more into it. I really want to learn more about the sport. And, of course, I'm going to be talking to a lot more of the athletes from that amazing organisation. Today's episode, of course, was sponsored by Tidal Plant-Powered Cryotherapy Spray. I call it the game changer. The first thing I said yesterday when I woke up in the morning was, where's my Tidal? It's a blast of cold like you've never felt. You've heard me say this before. You can get it at the CVS pharmacies now here through all CVSs throughout the United States. It's now being sold in Australia and in multiple different countries around the world. If you want to get yourself some of this and you can't get it at the CVS, TidalSport.com. Go on there, check it out. We've got creams, we've got sprays, we've got some pretty cool merch in there as well. Thank you very much for popping in. This is just another real quick one, guys. I hope you're liking it. I hope you're enjoying it. An amazing fight week on the weekend. Just great to see just the skill of these athletes. Alexander Volkanovski, the little Aussie battler from Wollongong, just came in and decimated the Korean Zombie. I actually felt a little bit bad for him. You know, sometimes when you think, this is a sport where you don't actually supposed to feel bad for people, but I actually felt a little bad for him. And he's such a warrior and walks forward and would never stop. I think maybe his corner should have stepped in and done something about that. But, Herb Dean, being the fantastic referee that he is, the best in the game in my opinion, did a perfect stoppage. Aljamain Sterling retained the title. Poitiers, another split decision. Got a little bit panicked there for a second, but Aljo took it out. It is what it is. That's why they say never leave it in the hands of the judges. And Hamzat Chimaev against Gilbert Burns. What a fight. Another split decision. It could have gone either way. Personally, I thought that... I don't like to throw my opinions out there because I just get destroyed by you guys online, so I'm just going to keep my opinions to myself. I think Hamzat came in. I'm glad that he didn't get it over and done with in the first round. He had to prove his skills. He had to prove who he was. He stepped in with the number 2 ranked. Did a decent job. Thought he was a little bit overzealous. Tried to put him out. Tried to knock him down. Tried to get him away in the first round. Maybe blew his load a little bit too early. But hey, it's all time in the octagon, right? The more that you're in there, the more that you're going to learn. The guy's got great potential. He's only young. He's only 27, and I see a massive, massive future for him. I would love to see him in there with Colby Covington. And there's so many people in that division that it'd be fantastic to watch. So there's my little insight from the weekend. Great weekend of fights. Thank you very much to everyone that's listening. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. This is Marcus Deegan for the podcast. Take care. The Marcus Deegan Show.